Hello, so this is a lesson to help recap the work that was done in school last week, and I know that as school went on, quite a few of you elected to stay at home, and so to continue with the work that I'm going to be setting for the rest of the week, really this is just a catch-up session. So if you missed any lessons last week, this is the lessons that you've missed out on. The first one is, or the first start of the sort of series of lessons for the sine rule is this one. This is the formula which is already highlighted there with a red box around it, and it is given to you in the exam. So let me just talk to you a little bit about where and why and when we would use it. So it's a grade AA star topic, and it's used when we've got non-right angled triangles. And so remembering, same as what I said with the cosine rule, if you have a right angle triangle, then we'd use trigonometry or Pythagoras to find missing lengths and sides. But when it gets to the case where you have a non-right angle triangle, then we need to use these slightly more sophisticated formulas, such as the sine rule. So I'm going to label this up with a couple of pieces of information and just talk you through an example of what you need to do with this. So this would be the question, I'll put that in centimetres, and you would be asked to calculate the length of x. So that the question would sort of say, calculate the value of x. This would be towards the end of your exam paper because, as I said, it's a grade AA star topic, and like I said, I'll just talk you through what to do. So the first thing is having a look at the formula. Notice that you've got this lowercase a and this capital letter A, the B with the capital B and the C with the capital C. Now that all links to how you label your diagram, and I'll show you how to do that now. The lowercase letters, the same as we had in the cosine rule, are all lengths. So I'm going to say that x is A. I'm going to go around clockwise, so that's B and that's C. It doesn't really matter which way round you label your letters at all. What matters is the next bit. So capital A is the angle, and that is always the angle that is opposite to the length that you've marked as A. For B, if I put that as B, then B is the opposite angle to the length marked B. And obviously we can see then that this C here matches up to this angle here, which we're not given at all. On a side note, some questions you will need to find C, and just remember that you could do that by doing 180 degrees, take away the 85 and take away the 50, because the angles in a triangle add up to 180. We don't need that right now, but you might need that in future. So, on to using the formula. We only really need a pair, or sort of two parts of the formula. So although there are three fractions, you will only ever use two fractions. And in this case, I'm being asked to find A, and I've been given the full pair B, so I'm just going to be using this part of my formula. If you've labelled the sides up with B and C, then you'd use just the B and C part, or if it was A and C, you'd use just A and C. So I'm just going to write that out. A over sine of A is equal to B over sine of B. Okay, so A is the length, which in this case is x. That's what I'm being asked to find. Capital A, we know, is over here, so that's 50 degrees. So x over sine of 50 is equal to B. Now B in this case is 5 centimetres, but we've been given that to one decimal place. I'm going to keep that in nice and tidy. And the angle opposite to B is that angle there of 85. So sine of 85. Okay, so rearranging this to make x the subject of the equation, I'm going to multiply both sides by sine of 50. Okay, so they will cancel, so I'll be left with x equals 5 over sine of 85, and now that's all being multiplied by sine of 50. So pop that into your calculator, pause the video and see what you get. Okay, so the answer that you should have got, hopefully, is 3.8 centimetres. Now, I'm giving that to one decimal place because the question gave me the values to one decimal place. If you've typed everything in perfectly and you didn't get 3.8 centimetres, it might be that's because your calculator isn't in degrees. So at the top of your calculator screen, you need to be looking for a little box with a D in it. If the little box has got an R or a G, they are the wrong ones. You need to press shift and then mode, I think it is, and then choose the option, I think it's number 3, where it says, looks like deg, which is short for degrees. So if you type in everything incorrectly and you don't get that answer, just check your calculator is in the correct format. Okay, copy this example in, and then I'd like you to have a go at the next example to make sure you understand what you're doing. Okay, so here is the question for you to try now, following that last example. So I would like you to calculate the value of x to 1 decimal place. Okay, so start by labelling A, B, C and working from there. So pause the video now. Okay, so I'm going to go through the example and hopefully you got it correct. So I've labelled up my sides A, B, C as follows. I'm going to ignore C because that's not giving me any information, and that means that I'm going to be working with just the A and B. So I'm going to write A over sine A is equal to B over sine of B. I chose A to be the missing side because then I know that I could just write x on the left hand side. So that's x over sine of 75 degrees is equal to B, so that's 6.0 over sine of 55 degrees. And rearranging, I will get x is equal to 6.0 over sine of 55 times by sine of 75. So the value for x you will get